So I'm going to document my journey on solving what I feel is the greatest mystery of all, which is the systematic ways of life. And I figured that to be through scriptures, through the four main holy scriptures, to be very precise. The first one being the Torah, the second one being the Evangel, which is the Holy Bible, and also the Quran, and the most honorable mentioned to me, I'm being biased when I say that, the book of Enoch. Now, I am keeping record once again of everything. And this is my second time reading these books. These is not my first time. The only difference is I have a different mindset. The first time I read these books that I speak of, which is, once again, the Torah, the Holy Bible, the Quran, and the book of Enoch, I had a whole different reasoning as to why I wanted to read them. I was going through a lot of religious attacks and religious abuse, and I just wanted to know the word for myself. So the books, the first time of me reading those books, I used the audio. I read the audio versions of it, and it did help visually for me to like just get a picture of how the concept came about. However, for as my comprehension of it, it didn't fully stick. And I didn't realize that until now at 27 years old, in 2023. So this is back in 2020 when I first read them. And obviously I was like 24. So the 24-year-old version of me just wanted to read audiobooks, knowing I'm not a visual learner, so I don't learn by hearing either, which is the audio aspect of things. I learn by experiencing and tapping into, which is only 5% of the world's population. Only 5% of people on this earth are kinesthetic learners. So it makes it very difficult for us to learn from those who are visual and auditory, because they don't know how to illustrate in a kinesthetic way. So, and it took me to get into college, for me to learn my learning style. I thought I knew it in high school. However, I took the test in the aspect, this is how I wish I learned. And the results came out as visual. And I'm like, okay, so I thought I was a visual learner. So when I got to college, it was my inner voice, which is the Almighty, was like, take this test and answer the questions in a way that you know this is how you learn. Not how you wish you learned, but how you actually learn. And when I started to answer the questions, I answered it in the format, in the sense of, this is how I actually receive and perceive information. And my true results came back as a kinesthetic learner, and I took multiple tests to make sure, and they all came back kinesthetic. So I'm like, dang, I really am like a hands-on learner, to simplify it. And this ties into scripture, because let me make sure I'm not, okay, y'all can still hear me? Great. So this ties into me learning, like I said, the mystic ways of life through scripture. I didn't fully realize that then, because then I just wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove that, you know what, I'm tired of people calling me stupid. I'm tired of being treated a certain way. I'm finna learn scripture and fight back with scripture. So I was using it as a defense mechanism, because I got tired of getting treated like I was ignorant, like I didn't know the word, which I didn't. But I'm like, I can learn it. And I felt at the time, in 2020, during the pandemic, aka the pandemic, okay, I can learn the word for myself. And it's now, in present time, 2023, it's like, it's more than just learning it for yourself. You're actually learning the secrets, the hidden knowledge, the hidden gems of how this system came about through scripture. I'm like, whoa, wow. And I've learned that accidental. I was looking up this year. Every year I come up with a new obsession, like something I'm always interested in. Which is, in astrology, my East Point is in Sagittarius, which is dealing with philosophy. So, multiple ways of it, just not one. The number 9 energy, to be very precise. And it's active this year. This year, and plus I'm 27. 2, 7 equals 9. So I'm heavy in the energy this year. So in a sense, I'm like, how did this come about? Until I tap back into astrology, I'm like, okay, now it's making sense. I was just looking up the language that my bloodline used to speak before they came to America. And I'm like, I came across a video on YouTube, and coming to find out what happened to my lineage is actually in scripture. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute now. Because I always say, I'm going to read the Bible again. I'm going to read the Bibles, more than one, again. But it's not going to be anytime soon. But when I found out that my lineage, what happened to my lineage can be found in scripture, I'm like, how come I didn't remember that when I first read the scriptures? And it was because I read it in a way that I don't learn, which is audio. I don't learn that way. So I'm like, oh, I have to read it myself. I have to be the narrator. So now it's like, I see a difference. With the Quran in 2020, it took me 3 days. Now, it took me 20 days because I'm actually reading it myself. I'm actually taking notes this time. Not visual notes, but actually physical notes, which is the kinesthetic way. That's how I learn. And it makes a total difference because now, if someone was to ask me to recite scripture from the Quran, I can. Then I used to always say, oh, I read it, but I can only give you an interpretation of it. And if you give an interpretation of something, you don't really know it. I said what I said. But if you can give me, as a kinesthetic learner, if I can give you actual proof from the scripture itself, boom, that's clarity. That's not me interpreting. That's not me putting my own feelings and my own twist to it. Like I'm giving you raw, verbatim. It is what it is. It is what it is. So, it took me 20 days to read the Quran. Now, I just started to read the Holy Bible. I'm in Genesis, obviously, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to get through this because the first time I read it in 2020, it took a month. Now that I'm the one that's going to be narrating it, I'm not going to use an audiobook this time. Oh, it's not going to take a month. It might take 2 or 3 months because I'm actually taking notes. I'm actually dissecting the information this time. No interpretations involved. So I say that to say, as I embark on this new journey, there's going to be new results and no interpretations at all. And I'm just keeping record. And to my audience, I'm just laying it all out for y'all to see. So stay tuned because I'm definitely going to keep everyone updated. I'm not going to be selfish and just keep it all to myself. I'm definitely going to let y'all know how the journey is. So once again, stay tuned. And yeah, there's more to come.